Although the programme included Graham, all the viewer was presented with was the official incompetence theory.
So it was a conspiracy to cover up the fact that blunders had been made in the lead up to 9/11.
If by conspiracy you mean with more than one person involved, yes, there was more than one person, and there was some collaboration of efforts among agencies and the administration to keep information out of the public's hands.
On the 10th of September 2001, Donald Rumsfeld announced that $2.3 trillion had gone missing from the defence budget.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
Fraud at the Pentagon is not unusual, yet the public is still supposed to trust these people when it comes to more important issues. The BBC did not inform the viewer of the several high-level insiders who have gone on record to say there was prior intelligence gathered on some of the men involved in the 9/11 operation. The data mining programme Able Danger, set up by Army Intelligence and Special Operations Command, became a deep concern to some congressmen after 9/11.
He was prepared to state, as he told us, that he had an Able Danger chart with Muhammad Atta identified on his office wall at Andrews Air Force Base until DoD Investigative Services removed it. He was prepared to discuss the extensive amount of data collected and analyzed about Al-Qaeda, underscoring the fact that Able Danger was never about one chart or one photograph, but rather was and is about massive data collected and assembled against what Madeleine Albright declared to be in 1999 an international terrorist organization. He too has been silenced.
It emerged that terabytes of data, much of which may have been related to 9/11, had been destroyed, and decisions had been made not to share the information with the FBI prior to the destruction. 5 Israelis, 2 of them confirmed to be Mossad agents, were arrested after witnesses reported them cheering the attacks on the Twin Towers. They had, in their own words, been documenting the attacks. They were found with several suspicious items, but were allowed to return to Israel after limited questioning. This is more evidence implicating intelligence agencies that the BBC failed to include. Intelligence agencies, and those connected to them, do sometimes fund, protect and collude with terrorists to advance other agendas. Often men motivated by money and not political or religious causes are manoeuvred by puppet masters to leave behind a convenient trail of evidence. It certainly appears that this was the case on 9/11. The BBC didn't simply choose to leave out key evidence which undermined or refuted the official story. It also declined to include information which set the claims of 9/11 researchers in context. Many people claim the US government would never even consider launching terrorist attacks on its own soil or against its own citizens and their interests. Yet official declassified documents have revealed that in 1962, US military chiefs had given their backing to a series of well-advanced plans to stage false flag terrorist operations on US interests to provoke a war with Cuba. Although Operation Northwoods was over 4 decades ago, it simply cannot be argued that the US military have developed more of a conscience over the years. During the Cold War, NATO, alongside intelligence agencies, armed and funded stay-behind armies to act as resistance in the event of a Soviet invasion. Inquiries carried out by the Belgian and Italian parliaments established that Operation Gladio was behind several atrocities across Western Europe in the 1970s and 80s. Gladio teams carried out terrorist operations as part of a strategy of tension. The resulting fear was used to manipulate public perception, while the blame was put on political dissidents. This important case demonstrates the desire by those in power to carry out terrorist attacks in order to further hidden agendas. Around 15 years ago, the BBC was all too aware of this.
Bisognava attaccare I civili, quello che è il popolo, le donne, i bambini, le persone innocenti, strane ad ogni gioco politico. Per una ragione semplice, perché bisognava obbligare questa gente, l'opinione pubblica italiana, a rivolgersi allo Stato, a rivolgersi al regime per chiedere maggiore sicurezza. Il ruolo della destra in Italia è stato proprio questo. Si è messa al servizio di apparati di Stato che hanno alimentato una strategia che giustamente è stata definita della tensione, in quanto bisognava portare la gente ad accettare in qualsiasi momento, nell'arco di un trentennio, dal 1960 al 1985-86, la possibilità di uno stato d'emergenza. Quindi la gente avrebbe barattato molto volentieri parte della sua libertà con una sicurezza, con la sicurezza di poter camminare sulle strade, viaggiare sui treni, salire sugli aerei, entrare in banca. Questa è la logica politica che sta dietro tutte le stragi, che rimangono impunite proprio perché lo Stato non può condannare se stesso o proclamare se stesso colpevole di quello che ha fatto.
The conspiracy files didn't include testimony on false flag terrorism from former intelligence officers like Alexander Litvinenko, formerly of the Russian FSB.
И когда произошли взрывы домов, я сразу понял, что это, вернее, не понял, правильно сказать, а у меня сразу возникли подозрения, что это дело рук моей бывшей организации. Они этот дом заминировали, и по чистой случайности жители дома обнаружили эту взрывчатку. Вот, завели уголовное дело с окраской терроризм и начали искать террористов. И буквально через 1,5 дня они их нашли. Задержали этих людей, эти люди оказались офицерами ФСБ.
And myself, David Shayler, formerly of MI5.
Tunworth's intelligence was, we're told, shared with a small number of key officials.
They are still funding international terrorism.
Producer Guy Smith did acknowledge that false flag terrorism exists.
There's no doubt that the American government and other governments, no doubt the British government as well, has been involved in all sorts of operations in the past, false flag operations.
Since Smith appears to understand that the powers that be do use these tactics, why then didn't he present any of this context to the audience? A number of documents produced prior to 9/11 clearly show that the neocons had been lobbying for a US invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq in order to secure energy supplies for the US domestic market. They accepted that the American people would not support these plans absent some catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor.
I don't know.
Are
what
people
you would
really
call,
worried the U.S. is going to go, a decent, law-abiding country, and the U.S. is going to come in and say, we don't like the look of you, we're going to depose you? Is that something the U.S. has done quite often? How many countries has the U.S. attacked in the last 15 years?
Well, since World War II, there have been 72 interventions by the United States.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
That's ludicrous.
Well, it's not ludicrous, it's true.